All right, Mr. Mars has This Week in Auto History.
Yes, sir, I do. So there was about 6, 7 things I found that I thought were really interesting, particularly coming to the car show. Now, in January of 1926, Pontiac brand was actually introduced, and it was actually positioned to be above the Chevrolet and as one of the kind of a performance car, but actually a value cars where it actually started out. But it ended up being the GTO, the Firebird, the Pontiac, all the things that actually made started the muscle car environment. Then in 1958, the first production air suspension came up, and I thought this was interesting that it was 1958 before it happened. Cadillac was one of the big people that really bought into it. There were several others, like American Motors had air suspension on some of their cars that year. It didn't last very long on other cars, but Cadillac hung on to it, and they've actually used it even today in some of the vehicles, and GM puts it on some of their SUVs as well. So it was kind of I thought it was kind of interesting that it all started then. Then in 1969, the Ford GT40, this is its last major victory. Now, it won a lot of things going on. If you got to see the movie Ford versus Ferrari, you saw how that all worked out. And there's another story about that I think we need to look into and how that race ended. But anyway, it dominated in Le Mans, and it really set up American endurance racing as something that actually competes. And it's a very historic car, and this is actually the car that's on in a museum. Then, in 1971, we relate back to history, how it kind of repeats. This is actually what is considered the end of the muscle car era. Now, it was part of it. Everybody thinks it was because of the smog controls. That was a big deal of it. But the insurance premiums really is what started putting the pressure on people buying these cars. They were high-powered engines. They got expensive to insure. If you were 18, 19 years old, out of high school, had a job, and you wanted to go buy one of these cars for $4,000 or $5,000, insurance could cost you $1,000 or $1,500 a year. It costs you almost as much as the car. And then you combine that with the emission regulations that was putting pressure on the car manufacturers to go along with lower sales because of insuring them, and it all worked together to kind of create the end of the muscle car era as we knew it. Then in 1987, of course, somebody's got to be different. Buick,
Thank you.
The GNX was released, and it was very unassuming. It was a black coupe, but it had many V8 powers.
To me.
Where many V8 cars really were surprised because of the turbocharged engine that was in this car. It wasn't loud, and it just was kind of a sleeper. It's what we would call a sleeper nowadays. Then, tying it all together in 2010, the LAST Pontiac was built. Now, this was, it had been working around for generations through the Trans Ams, the GTX, the the GTO and the Grand Prix. But the last Pontiac that was actually built was this particular car right here. And it's a G8 car, and it's in a museum like everything else, and everybody goes, wow, what happened to them?
The G8, of all the things. Really?
All the things they could. That was the last one that was built.
G8.
So.
You remember the G8? Some frumpy sedan that General Motors came up with that nobody bought.
Exactly.
Way to go, Pontiac.
So it was that was This Week in Auto History since we're at the new car show.